So, hello everyone. Welcome to this year's first Energy Innovation Challenge informational webinar. My name is Sebastian Rossi, and with my colleague Joe Perry, we'll be conducting today's session. We will be recording this session, and feel free to drop any questions you may have in the chat throughout the session. We will make sure to answer all of the ones that we can during our Q&A session by the end of today's session. This webinar is intended for faculty, admin, and student organization representatives. And the intention of it is to give you all the information you need to speak about this challenge within your organizations, as well as to give you the ability to build teams for this competition. And we will have follow-up sessions for students interested in participating while the application is open in September. So we'll first give you an introduction to AES overall, and then Joe will proceed to give you all the competition details, and we will end this session with a Q&A to answer any questions or concerns that you may have. So what is AES and what is it that we do at AES? So at AES, what we're trying to do is drive the renewable energy transition. As you may know, AES was a mostly fossil fuel-based company several years ago, and we're really accelerating this transition towards renewables, trying to get rid of fossil fuels and adopt renewables completely. And the way to do this is by working directly with our partners, as you may have heard from our initial outreach. And why do we need to work in partnerships and work with all you guys? It's to continue to drive new business models and continue to develop and apply innovation. And this isn't possible without working and collaborating directly and without developing and nurturing our talent. And that's why we're here with you today. You guys have some of the best talent in the world, and bigger than just AES, they're the people we need to solve today's problems and tomorrow's problems. Our mission at AES is to accelerate the future of energy together. And in order to do this, we need to continue to collaborate and work in partnerships, as well as to continue to grow and nurture our talent. AES is a 40-year-old Fortune 500 company with presence in 14 companies and over 30 gigawatts in operation. Domestically, we have over 3,000 employees, and also in the US, we have two utilities, one in Dayton, Ohio, and another in Indianapolis. And we work with over 1.1 million US customers. And in addition to our utilities, we also have a very rapidly growing clean energy business, which focuses on developing wind, solar, and energy storage. And this is AES's fastest growing business unit in the United States. And alongside this, we really believe in being innovators in this renewable energy space. And we have actually won 7 Edison Awards for technologies that we've pioneered and developed, along with incubating multiple companies. For example, we have Fluence, an energy storage company, as well as Atlas, a solution based on solar automation and robotics, which facilitates and accelerates solar panel installation. And these solutions aren't possible without nurturing and developing the talent that we have. And this is why we have built and we now have the Energy Innovation Challenge. So right now I will hand it over to Joe so that he can give you the details of the Energy Innovation Challenge.
Thanks, Seb. So welcome, everyone. We're so glad that you were able to make it and take time out of your day to hear about the AES Energy Innovation Challenge. Like Seb mentioned, my name is Joe Perry. I'm one of the team members that's been doing a lot of our external outreach focused on the Midwest in the regions near our utilities. So I want to go over these 4 big topics as a way to frame the information about the Innovation Challenge. Apologies if some of this is a little bit repetitive from our initial outreach, but we want to make sure that you had a solid foundation and understanding of this challenge. So first, like Seb mentioned, AES, we are accelerating the responsible energy transition. And this challenge is a great window for students to get an inside look at what that transition is like by tackling one of the problems, the real world problems that the industry is facing while making that transition. The Innovation Challenge also is a great networking opportunity. We have built several networking events into the entire challenge and at every stage of the challenge. I'll go into a lot more detail about those, but just know that we really value the networking opportunities because that's how students find what interests them and what careers they might want to pursue. Students participating will also gain invaluable industry experience. This is mirrored through the working collaboratively through a team to solve one of these problems that we are facing. So as well as being able to see and network with professionals in this industry, they really get an inside look at what it's like to work in this industry and talk with people already doing that. And last, but certainly not least, is this is a prize-based competition. Students are competing for prizes. The top 2 teams receive prizes as well as everyone that participates. So with those 4 kind of general themes in mind, I'll move into some of the more specifics. First being the team criteria. So teams are made up of 3 to 5 students, and those students must be enrolled in a graduate degree or equivalent program. So that could be a graduate certificate, a PhD program, law school, med school. Really, we're just looking for students above the bachelor's level. And then I really want to focus on this interdisciplinary requirement. Each team must have at least 2 different degree programs represented on their team. Now, ideally, this would be different graduate level programs, MBA students, engineering students, policy, communications, really any interdisciplinary graduate level. But we recognize that that might be hard to do for some programs, some schools, some students. So we also extend this requirement down to the undergraduate level. An example of that might be 4 MBA students form a team. 3 of them were accountant majors in their undergrad, but 1 of them was an engineering major. So 4 MBAs, 3 accountant and an engineer, that still satisfies this requirement. But we do really want to emphasize trying to build interdisciplinary teams. And that's part of the reason we're having this webinar is to give you, faculty, staff, leaders on campus, an opportunity to go back to your schools and to your colleagues to discuss building teams that are interdisciplinary. And then that final requirement is that all students have to come from the same university. Next, I'll dive into the networking opportunities that we provide during the competition. First being our coffee chats. These are available to all participants. They're 20-minute conversations, one-on-one between a participating student and someone at AES. They provide students with an opportunity to talk with an AES professional in an area of business that interests them. We really try to get a wide range of AES volunteers from across the business, engineering, policy, regulation, utilities, so that we can match the needs and interests of all the students participating. Because while like all networking is great, it's always good to build your network. Personalized and individualized networking is even better. We want to match students with areas that interest them so that they can continue to learn about this industry and what a career in it might look like. Next comes a company presentation. It's a 1-hour presentation from an AES leader to the participating students. This is an opportunity for us to showcase AES in a little bit more depth than Seb was able to do at the beginning of this webinar. We use this time to showcase the work that we're doing in the industry, the direction the industry is going, and to provide students more detail of what the energy industry really is like, because it might be one that they don't have too much familiarity with. And also a key to this presentation is at the end of the company presentation, there's an opportunity for students to ask us, the EIC team, questions about the prompt that they're working on, because this takes place in that first round. So those first 2 are open to all participating students. These next two are just for finalists that make it into the final round. The first is a network breakfast. It's a 1-hour breakfast with the entire team, with each team with an AES senior leader. Since we're still doing this virtually, our plan is to send gift cards to each team so that you can go buy your breakfast or coffee or whatever you want for this breakfast, so that and then join a Teams call virtually with AES leaders. And the final opportunity is a keynote presentation, similar to that company presentation, but it'll feature a key AES individual to talk about an interesting topic, more specific to the industry, possibly related to the prompt, but more than just a general overview of the company, but something more individualized and interesting within the work that we do. So now I want to jump into the prizes. We know that students are competing to win something. So the first place prize, each member of the team receives an interview conversation. What that is a conversation with a hiring manager to see if there's somewhere an opportunity available that fits that student's interests. The team as a whole receives a $10,000 cash prize, as well as making a $1,000 donation to a charity of their choice. Second place, a very similar prize, the same interview conversations for each of their team members, but their prize is $5,000 cash, and then a similar $1,000 donation to the charity of their choice. As well as the top two teams receiving a prize, all participants receive memberships to industry organizations. Currently, we have confirmed memberships to SEIA, the Solar Energy Industries Association, and EEI, which is the Edison Electric Institute. These are just two industry organizations that put out reports, articles, and great information as a way for students and participants to stay informed and involved in this industry going forward. As well as those memberships, like I mentioned, those coffee chats and company presentation are available to all participants. So I've been talking about some of the details and a little bit of the abstract, but I want to really dive into the structure of the competition with some of the dates. So it's hard to believe that's already August, but the application will open at the end of this month, August 30th, and will remain open till the 23rd. The team application is a team application, one per team, and is done online through Microsoft Forms. And I want to emphasize or just throw out these information sessions. I'll go into a little bit more detail later, but the information sessions held on the 12th, 15th, and 18th of September are very similar to this webinar, but for any interested students. So after teams apply, we go into the first round. Application closes on the 23rd, and students will find out if their team is selected on the 26th, and the prompt will be released to them on the 28th. Starting on the 28th, they have 2 weeks to develop a presentation of their solution to that prompt. The presentation is 20 minutes and will be given to a panel of 3 AES judges. Those final presentations will take place on October 13th or 14th. Each team is only presenting once. It'll be one of those 2 days. And this first round is broken out by region, the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic separately. And like I mentioned, for the networking opportunities during this time are those coffee chats and a company presentation on AES. So after the first round, the top 5 scoring teams will move into that final round, a final 10 days to continue to refine their solution, as well as consider some additional criteria for that prompt. In this final round, it is a 25-minute presentation to a panel of 3 new AES judges. And then these presentations take place on a full day of events. October 28th, we have built into kind of a full final day of the competition. It kicks off with that networking breakfast I mentioned earlier. The finalist team gets to network with AES people. Then throughout the day, each finalist team will compete, will present to a panel of judges. And then we wrap up the day with our keynote presentation and the prize ceremony announcing the top 2 teams. And the distinction here is it is a national final. We do the first round regionally, but then bring the top 5 together. So that's kind of the timeline and the structure of the competition as a whole. But to give a little bit more context about how to actually compete, each team will receive a briefing packet of a prompt related to a relevant clean energy problem that we as AES and the energy industry as a whole are facing and actively trying to figure out. The key here is it's a real problem, but it's not AES specific. It's not AES data or anything or business functions. It's something we are tackling and actively working to solve, but not with any of the data or that we have available to us. And just to clarify, the prompt will be sent out to all teams that are selected to compete on September 28th, so that they are all given that same 2-week timeline to develop their solution. And the presentations is kind of the competition aspect. The first round, like I mentioned, October 13th and 14th, 20 minutes to a panel of 3 AES judges. The criteria for this presentation, like I mentioned, it's interdisciplinary. We're looking for holistic, well-rounded solutions. So teams will have to consider a technical solution, the policy implications, the environmental sustainability of that solution, a financial plan, and the social impact. Really trying to consider the problem and the solution from all the different ways that a business like AES might consider it. And then into the final round, it's a 25-minute presentation, and they are given additional criteria based on what the prompt is for the year. So based on whatever this year's prompt is, we will add 2 more criteria for them to consider and help refine their solution in that context. So I want to kind of summarize and put everything on this key dates kind of table. I'd recommend screenshotting or making sure you just have some of this information, especially our website and email down the bottom. Our website will have the application link as well as a handshake event that we will send out later this month. So just running down them rather quickly, our application will open at the end of this month, August 30th. And while the application is open are our information sessions. And I want to spend a little bit more time here. Opposed to this webinar, which was for all interested faculty, staff, and student organizations, our information sessions will be broken up by region. The 12th will be for the Midwest, the 15th for the Mid-Atlantic. And then we recognize that graduate and professional students might be busy during the week. So we're offering one on a Sunday, September 18th, as a joint session catch-all if students weren't able to attend theirs. So while we hope that this webinar gives you all the information you need to go back and start engaging students, forming teams, talking to colleagues, and getting students interested, we'd recommend that all students interested, whether they've formed a team or not, attend the information sessions so that they can get all of this information directly from us and ask any questions that they have. And a very key part of these info sessions is the last 20 minutes will be devoted to team formation. And that's why we're doing them by region. We will, at the end of the info session, split up by schools so that all the students from their respective schools can see who else is interested. So if you have a solo student or a pair of students or a group of students that don't qualify for the interdisciplinary aspect, they'll be able to see who else is interested and who they could form a team with during that time. So not only do they get all the information about the challenge, they'll be able to form strong teams or add people to teams that they might have already started to form. So those are the information sessions. And then the application will close September 23rd on a Friday. And then the competition kickstarts on the 28th. The coffee chats are that networking opportunity occur in the first week of the competition. The first round presentations are the 13th and the 14th, and the final round presentations are on October 28th. And again, our website is down the bottom, which will have a lot more information where teams can apply as well. And if you have any questions following this or would like more information, feel free to reach out to the Innovation Challenge at AES.com email as well. And I'm also available for questions. And with that, I haven't been able to watch the chat. I don't know if there are any questions, but we'll start taking those now. Hey, Jackie, it's great to see you. Yes, we did record this session, so we will send that as well as a PDF of the slides as well.
Okay, thanks. I came on late, I'm sorry, but you probably said in the beginning. I was madly trying to keep up with you, but I didn't. This was really helpful, thanks. Appreciate it. I'll probably have you guys do it again or ask you to do it again for our faculty and students. So hopefully that information out there some more.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, I've got a question.
Yes.
This is really concise. My question is about the interdisciplinary requirement. Is that new this year?
It is not, no. We had that in our first program as well.
Okay, so it sounds like, so for example, our students are in a master's program and we have different master's programs at the university, and it sounds like that would meet the requirement, but from what you described, it sounds like also they could meet the requirement if they were maybe in different concentrations within the same program. Is that accurate?
It sounds accurate. Yes.
Okay. I saw that. Okay. Great. Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
I'll see you later, guys. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks,
Sure, we'll
Jackie.
be in touch. Yep.
Taylor, to answer your question, students will have access to the application through a handshake event that will come out in some communications later this month, as well as on the Innovation Challenge website. And we will follow up these webinars with a couple more communications with the recording, like I mentioned, the slides, and some other important information, like information on our handshake events.